Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of Danilobmma MMA. I'm with Michael Gomes. Thank you for joining us. He's a jiu-jitsu athlete and MMA fighter. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Appreciate you having me on this. Appreciate you having me do this.
Could you walk us through your journey in mixed martial arts?
Yeah. So I started training with my brother when I was around. I want to say it was about 2012, 2013. So I want to say I was around. I'd say about 7 years old, around that age.
Yeah.
I started off at Extreme Couture Toronto. I started mainly training in jiu-jitsu, did a little bit of striking, but was mainly focused on gi and no-gi jiu-jitsu. Competed in that for a while, for several years, like through the kids belt ranks, got my green belt, pretty much went up till I was about 19, I'd say, and then stopped for a bit. I was pursuing some other things. I was playing football in university and stuff. And then sort of 2 years ago, I got back and starting to train martial arts and stuff, kind of pursuing this MMA career and stuff. And been training now at one-to-one MMA out in the East End, and then doing some of my jiu-jitsu work at King of Mats here in Etobicoke. So, yeah.
I hear that you have a fight on showcase fights. How are you?
Yeah, so I have my next super fight. What is it again? April 25th, Saturday, April 25th at Battle Arts Academy for showcase super fights.
So what do you have to say to your opponent regarding the fight?
Haven't really, honestly, like, I've watched a little bit on my opponent. He's from Quebec, seems pretty solid wrestler, solid all around. Honestly, I just hope for a good scrap. I every time I talk to their matchmaker, I'm just like, give me the best guy you guys got, and that's like all I want. I want the best competition. I want to face the best of the best that I can face, and I want to test myself. So I hope he's ready to bring a good fight, and I'm really excited for this matchup. I think it's going to be a good show.
What do you have to say to promotions if they're watching this regarding your MMA and your BJJ, what you have to present?
Honestly, like, I mean, it's in my nickname, man. Michael Gametime Gomes. I mean, like, I'm gonna bring a game fight every time. I mean, I'm very athletic. I love to, especially in my jiu-jitsu. I've been working on that for years. MMA wise, my striking, that's been getting better and stuff. I'm hoping get a fight soon, MMA wise, in the summertime once I get back in the group of things. Jiu-jitsu wise, I'm just honestly just trying to get like the best matches I can possible. Like I said, right, trying to get on the biggest shows possible. Want to start competing at more tournaments and stuff, hopefully get some ADCC medals and stuff like that. Want to start competing there more and stuff. So yeah, just trying to chase as high as I can, right? So yeah.
What's your highest achievement in BJJ?
I'd say so far, I mean, I've honestly competed on pretty much every major super fight show here in Ontario for the most part, and I have a winning record like in super fights. I'm honestly don't even remember the exact like amount, like if I had to give like a record or so, but I've competed on pretty much every major super fight. I've competed since I was a kid, won pretty much every like major tournament, like regionally, the Ontario Open, all those local OGA tournaments and stuff. So yeah, I've competed a fair amount, I'd say. And I'm looking to test myself on more national stages now, hoping to do some more ADCCs and higher level super fights and stuff.
What's your end goal in BJJ? Like, do you have a specific tournament that you want to win? Is there any?
Honestly, nothing in particular. I mean, like, ADCC seems to be like the highest like championship in grappling that you could win. So hopefully doing a trials one day would be very fun. I want to get on like those big super fight promotions. Like, I mean, like UFC BJJ is doing some really good stuff now. I'd love to hopefully maybe one day get on one of those, get on maybe one of those big who's number one cards that Flow Grappling does and stuff. Just those big super fights. I just want to face the best of the best and really test myself.
Leading up to the fight I believe is in a week, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Is there any way is there any special ways you get ready for the fight, like hydration wise, training wise?
Like, honestly, like I've trained usually, like in terms of jiu-jitsu, I train every day. I train twice a day. do my strength and conditioning training like 4 or 5 times a week. Always doing jujitsu, MMA, just always trying to improve in something in terms of martial arts every day, doing 2 sessions a day. Been focused a lot on my jujitsu, obviously, just because this is a grappling match and stuff. So been really focused on just improving in everything I can, my wrestling, my top game, my guard passing, guard retention, all that kind of stuff, just making sure everything's locked in, ready to go. In terms of like fight week itself, like, I mean, this one I'm trying to not to focus too much on like what my opponent's going to do and stuff, and more focused on trying to bring the best version of myself that night and really trying to put on a good show for the crowd.
Talk us through your opinion of showcase fights, the way they organize and everything.
Honestly, like out of like most of the Ontario like super fights that I've been on, like they're definitely one of the top ones on there that I've really liked and really enjoy competing on. I'm kind of biased just because it's very local. They're in Mississauga, so they're very close to me, so I'm able to get a good crowd out there and stuff, which is really nice. But even just like the setup they have, the way they do the entrances and all that, like and the way they do their social media posts and all that, they're really doing their part in trying to give the fighters a platform to showcase themselves. And I'm very appreciative of them giving me the opportunities they've given me. I've been on the first one, and I've been on pretty much every one except for one of them because I got injured. But other than that one, I've been on most of them, and they've all been really well.
I don't know if you can reveal this because, you got a fight coming up, but what's one submission that you don't want to get caught with, and what's one submission that, like, you don't have to say the main one, but one that you'd like to do?
Oh no, I don't mind. So honestly, when it comes to just submissions, I like to do I just like going for the back, man. I mean, like fuck any kind of sorry for the language, any kind of like chokes or anything. Like that's my game, man. I just like to get to the back. I like rear naked chokes. Submissions I don't want to be caught in. Honestly, I just don't want to be leg locked. Let's not pull guard. Like, I mean, like, fuck, I want to, he looks like a solid wrestler. I mean, like, I want to wrestle. So yeah, I don't want to get leg locked. So let's not look forward towards that. So, and I'll be ready for it. So it is what it is.
So your previous, if I'm correct, your previous fight was in New York for MMA?
Yeah. My last MMA fight was last May for Cage Wars was the promotion.
Cage Wars.
Yeah.
And talk us through that fight, because from the stories I've heard, it wasn't very like the decision they made was not very right in a way.
Yeah, no. So I had a fight down in Schenectady, New York for Cage Wars MMA. It was a local promotion down there, a really good promotion. They put a lot of good money into their shows, and that I was facing an 0-0 local hometown kid, brought out a pretty good crowd. So I think that definitely had an impact on like what the judges were hearing and stuff. Honestly, I thought I dominated most of the fight. Definitely thought I won rounds 1 and 2 for sure. Round 3, you could have split it. I had some control time in the beginning. He was able to get some control time at the end. But for the most part, like even like my coaches looking back at it, and just like even like the people around me watching, like they all thought I won the fight. And like honestly, in the decision, it was like more, I wasn't really too worried about the decision. It was just like, all right, like this happened. It is what it is. Let's just try and like, we're just going to move on from this, keep getting better. And at the end of the day, it's just amateur. So, I mean, like you're just looking to build experience with this, right? Like I just want to get as much experience as possible, which is why I compete so much in jiu-jitsu, is because I just want to open myself to as much competition as I can. So then when I do get in the cage, it's a lot easier. Like, just being in front of people, being able to express yourself in front of people. I feel like it's the mental side of going into the cage. I feel like is one thing that a lot of people like sleep on when it comes to like going in the cage. There's some people that get in there and they let the big lights and stuff get to them. And, I just want to be able to be as confident as I can going into the cage and being able to do whatever I can, no matter what the circumstances.
Is there anything you regret going into that fight that you've mentally?
Not necessarily mentally. Honestly, I felt really confident going into that fight, and like I was confident in the game plan. I knew I wanted to try and work my ground game, try and get a submission. I knew I could pretty much put him out on the ground whenever I wanted. And if I had to say one, I'd probably wish I would have probably try to strike a little more, just knowing that like we're in a guy's hometown, we need to chase for a finish, maybe trying to look for a finish on the feet. But, we're still improving our striking. We're leveling up every single day. And, my next fight, I hope to really show a well-rounded game of mixed martial arts.
Would you rather be in UFC BJJ or the MMA?
I'm going to be biased and say MMA just because honestly, like when I kind of started doing this, like, like obviously I want to make money. I want to provide for my family and stuff. And honestly, with the looks of how it is right now, like I don't know how much UFC BJJ is paying, but I know it's not anywhere near as what MMA pays. So I'm going to be biased and probably say UFC, like MMA, but I'm just looking to, provide for my family, right? Whatever's going to help me do that.
I noticed you have the Celsius hat.
Yeah. So about that, yeah. So they're actually one of my sponsors. So we're gonna shout out them real quick. They've been helping me out a lot. I met one of their like Canadian representatives at a run I did in January, and they've been hooking it up well, sending me some packs, keeping me fueled and hydrated for my sessions. So shout out them. Yeah, I've been chasing that sponsorship for a while, so I was really happy when
I've seen on Instagram the packages keep coming. I was like,
yeah, bro, I'm loving it. Yeah, I've always reached out to businesses and that looking to sponsor and stuff. It's like I spend a lot of time on my social media and that, and really like trying to pump out content in that when I do compete and stuff, and really give a platform for businesses to really showcase themselves. And I have a few businesses that have partnered up with me to really elevate their brand, and I'm looking to even level up more on that. So yeah.
So the summer's coming up. If you do not have a fight, are you training anywhere? Like, are you going anywhere for the summer to train? Like, are you doing any?
Honestly, I don't really have anything like planned at the moment, trips wise. I mean, I'm just like, I'm going to actively probably compete in jiu-jitsu throughout the summer, just keep training. I split time between King of Mats and my main gym that I do MMA at, and I'm loving the training that I'm getting at both of those places and stuff. So just going to be training this whole summer, looking for whenever a fight comes up. I was coming back from an injury before that I had back in December, so we're getting back into full speed of things now. So we're just going to keep the pedal to the metal and, just keep trying to go after this, and hopefully we'll get a fight sometime in, I'm thinking June or July. We'll probably have something up.
If I'm not mistaken, your injury was an ACL.
So it wasn't an ACL. It was my elbow. I had like an avulsion fracture. Yeah.
How'd you bounce back? Was it hard to bounce back from it? Was there like?
I would definitely say mentally there was a lot of stuff kind of like going through, just thinking about like if my arm was ever kind of like gonna be the same, and like kind of having to, once you go through the rehab and once you really like start like getting back into things, you're like, all right, I'm gonna be good, right? Like I've been through stuff before, I've been through injuries before, so I mean, it's nothing new, right? You just gotta put in the work and good things will happen. So, and I just believe in that.
Is there anyone you want to call out or?
Anybody who wants to smoke. I mean, I say it all the time. I tell matchmakers all the time, like, give me whoever you guys got. I mean, like, I take the matchups that nobody else wants to take, right? So, like, anybody who wants it, honestly. I mean, I feel like that's why Showcase had to go get somebody from Quebec. They couldn't really find anybody here. I don't know, but it's going to be cool doing a little Ontario versus Quebec matchup, which is kind of sick. So, it is what it is. Anybody who wants it can get it.
Is there any specific name out there that you think is ducking?
I don't know. I don't really have names. I mean, a lot of people just like, I feel like I'm a very athletic guy, especially for like my weight class. I compete a lot at like 155, 145 in terms of like MMA more wise, but grappling it's more 155. And I'm a pretty big solid guy for that division, and I move very well. And I feel like a lot of people just don't want to deal with that. I have a very strong athletic background, and a lot of people just don't like that pressure, right? They want those easier matchups that, they think they can win. And, it is what it is. But I mean, I'm like, I don't care who it is. Like anybody, like belt wise, like to me, like I don't even like technically. So this is actually a funny story too. As an adult, I've never actually been officially like graded at all. I did go up like the belt system when I was a kid. I got my green belt, but since I did take that time off, like I mentioned, playing football, I've never actually been officially graded. I've just been competing at blue belt and I've competed against purple belts before. Just I'm down to face whoever. To me, a belt's just a belt. That's just, something to keep people in it, and I don't need something to keep me in something. So
yeah. I mean, when you come to trainings, you wear a blue belt, but like I was thinking, like this guy's been training since he was a kid. Like,
yeah, I mean, like honestly, it was one of those things where when I came back, like when I started competing again as an adult, like I knew I didn't want to like just stay as a white belt. Like I did like 1 or 2 white belt tournaments, and it was like I was pretty much winning like pretty easily. And I'm just like, all right, like I'm just gonna compete at blue belt, even though like I don't technically have a belt. We're just gonna do this, and then started doing that, and then just started doing super fights and that, facing purple belts, being purple belts, and I'm like, all right, shit. Well, I guess we're just gonna give like whatever matchups they give me, it can be whatever belt it is. And at the end of the day, it's one man versus another man. And, the best man at the end of the day is going to win. Whoever comes to put on a show is going to win.
And last question.
Yeah.
What's your craziest BJJ MMA like story? Like that's happened while you were, that you can say if there is any.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like crazy. Ooh.
Like before going out to the fight or anything, like something that's happened to you.
Yeah. So I'll actually say before my last amateur fight, so one thing that I don't really like in terms of like fighting and like anything is that I feel like in the back, like they have us come super early to these venues, and I hate sitting around waiting at these places. Like I get to a point where I'm just like, bro, like I'm ready to go. Like let's get this show on the road, right? So my last MMA fight, they call us up from the locker rooms and stuff. We're coming up to like where the entrance and all that is. I'm like, all right, sick. I was the third fight. The first 2 fights, they ended pretty quick in the first round. I'm like, all right, good. We're up to fight, whatever. I get up to the stairs. They take some sort of intermission for some reason. They had me standing up there with my coaches. Might I add, my opponent is like standing literally like two feet probably away from me. They had us standing there, I could you not, for like 20 minutes. And I'm like standing there, moving around, trying to stay warm and everything. My coach is like standing there. He's like, "You want to sit down?" And I'm like, I look over and I see my opponent staring at me, and I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm about to sit down here. My opponent's just staring at me like this. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. Let me just move around. We're good. And then they finally bring us out. I'm just like, fuck, man. Like they had us doing all that standing. I'm like, shit. That's one thing I say is pretty wild. I'm like, bro, like they need to speed those things up, bro. Like they be taking their time, and it's like, yo, let's get this show on the road.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no, of course. I appreciate you guys having me. If you don't mind me real quick, I'm just going to plug my stuff. You guys can follow me on Instagram, all social media platforms at Michael Gomes 416. I also have my YouTube channel, which is Michael Gametime Gomes. You guys can subscribe to me on that. And of course, subscribe to my boy as well. I appreciate him having me on the podcast. And as well, you guys can check me out next weekend at Showcase Super Fights, like we mentioned, April 25th at Battle Arts Academy. So, yeah, I'm excited for that, and I appreciate you guys having me.